Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, esteemed attendees. I extend my heartfelt greetings to each of you, acknowledging the diverse location from which you join us today for the Cybersecurity Revolution 2024. As for myself, I am currently located in Seoul, South Korea, where the weather is so good and sunny with a temperature of 23 Celsius. My name is Kibom Kim. I'm a professor in the Department of Forensic Science at Sungkyunkwan University, South Korea, with a research focus on cybercrime investigation, digital forensics, cybersecurity policy, and international development cooperation in these areas. Before joining Sungkyunkwan University, I accumulated approximately 23 years of experience in the cyber investigation and digital forensics field at the Korean National Police Agency. Before we commence with our session, I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude to all those involved in the conference and to say that it is an immense honor to be here as a co-organizer for the third year in a row. Thank you for affording me the opportunity to share my insight and research, recent research on cybercrime investigation and digital forensics for cybersecurity with esteemed researchers from around the globe. I am honored to begin the first session of the Cybersecurity Revolution 2024, which is titled Cybercrime Investigation and Digital Forensics for Cybersecurity. In this session, I would like to share some of the latest research regarding both technical and legal aspects. I eagerly anticipate an enriched and constructive discussion with all of you. This session will last for 2 hours and will conclude promptly at 11 on Korean time. Thank you for your attention and let us get started. Dear distinguished attendees, it is my honor to introduce the 5 esteemed presenters who will be sharing their research with us today. Presenters are all graduate students from the Department of Forensic Science at Sungkyunkwan University. Without further delay, let me introduce the first presenter, Soyeon Lee, who will be presenting on the top of approach for prioritization of digital for evidence screening based on metadata similarity. Our second presenter is Bomin Na, who will be discussing on study on institutionalization and advancement of digital forensic proficiency test provider. Next up, we have Jae-hyun Jung, who will be presenting on the topic of an inquiry into the integration of extended reality technologies in the digital forensics, exploring efficiency, challenges, and opportunities. He recorded the presentation in advance. We'll play the video of his presentation. Our first presenter is Byung-hun Moon, who will be discussing the analysis of cyber gambling organized crime network, investigative strategies through centrality and structural holes. Last but not least, Kyung-joo Lee will be presenting on the top of ransomware attack criminal law revision, comparative analysis of ransomware criminal law in Korea and the United States. Each presenter will have a 20 to 25-minute presentation slot, followed by Q&A session. where they will take one or two questions from the audience. You can ask a question directly or leave them in the Zoom chat. Thank you for your attention, and let us begin with our first presenter, Soyeon Lee. Please share your presentation file. Okay. It is my pleasure to introduce the first distinguished presenter of this session, Soyeon Lee. She is pursuing a master's degree in the Department of Forensic Science at Sungkyunkwan University. Ms. Lee has been involved in various research projects related to medical imaging forensics and malicious code analysis. Her area of expertise include digital forensics, anti-forensics, and mobile forensics. Today, researcher Lee will present her research on approach for prioritization of digital evidence screening based on metadata similarity. She conducted research aimed at narrowing the scope of digital evidence to be searched and seized by leveraging metadata similarity. Let's give a big round of applause to our first presenter.
Good morning. I am Soyeon Lee, and I am a master course student in the Digital Forensics Lab of the Department of Forensic Science and Sungkyunkwan University in Republic of Korea. The topic of my presentation today is approach for prioritization of digital evidence screening based on metadata similarity. Let's get started. In digital forensic investigations, metadata is the criterion for digital evidence screening. However, despite the vast amounts of data, existing procedures for screening and confiscation are being carried out by setting conditions such as path, file name, and date range. In addition, if a file related to crime is found, it is difficult to determine whether it is an original or a copy on site. Digital evidence often consists of files that are similar in size, belong to the same directory, very close in time, and so on. And we can easily recognize that file B with metadata similar to file A is likely the original, copy, final, and so on. Therefore, we present a new methodology that can automatically classify and screening properties of digital evidence based on metadata similarity. These include experiments that demonstrate that even if one or more metadata change, other metadata can identify the original or modified version, copy, final version, etc. And experiments that demonstrate that even if different datasets exist, the type can be grouped by metadata similarity. By analyzing file contents without directly checking it, research based on this metadata similarity can extend the scope of digital evidence similarity research, which was limited to existing documents, and effectively protect the privacy of the confiscating person. Previously, various studies have suggested ways to detect or automatically select similar files. However, most of them did not present the files themselves or classify related
Sorry,
files.
interrupt you. Sorry, interrupt you. Please click your presentation file. Full screen. When you deliver your content at the time, please click the page. Let's go. Go. Let's go.
Purposely, various studies have suggested ways to detect or automatically select similar files. However, most of them did not present the files themselves or classify related files. And in the case of similar file measurement studies based on file contents, they are limited to documents, and they are greatly affected by the structure characteristics of files such as PDF and Korean files. And there are limitations that they need to access file directory. Metadata is structured data about data, which describes other data. The metadata that digital forensics tool can use for research purpose includes not only these file system metadata, but also the metadata that emails, photos, etc. have. We limited it to file system metadata to conduct a basic study on whether this metadata similarity can select related files. Future analysis of metadata similarity across heterogeneous data resources, including the other documents, will help identify evidence files more accurately. The similarity measurement method in this study can be divided into similarity measure for numerical data and similarity measure for text data. As for the similarity measure for numerical data method, Euclidean distance is the most commonly used distance measurement method. In this study, it is used to find the difference in file time or file size. In the similarity measure for text data scheme, we use the Damera-Rubinstein distance. Damera-Rubinstein distance extended metric that incorporate transposition into the Rubinsteins, confirming that most typing errors are transpositions. Next is the clustering algorithm. K-means is an algorithm that groups objects in close proximity around the mean point into the one cluster, making it easy to around the mean point into one cluster, making easy to implement among segmentation, clustering technique, and easy for mass data. K-means clustering allows grouping of nodes existing in multiple dimensions. This has advantage of being able to easily classify files for unknown relevance. The metadata similarity-based digital evidence screening method, we want to propose consists largely of a correction stage, an analysis stage, and a research stage. Sequentially, metadata is collected from digital evidence, followed by pre-processing and standardization to weight, similarity analysis, and clustering. As a result, we design them to have probability if they have high similarity values or the same classification. In order to correct metadata, we chose a correction method using MFT. One of the methods that can be corrected without directly access to files. The metadata information in the file is contained in the MFT entry. Property information on the NTFS file system that is primarily used in Windows. The MFT is the most important information in NTFS and is a table that contains information about all files and directories that exist on a volume. Information such as the name, creation date, size, storage phase, and owner of files and directory is contained in various attributes within the MFT entry. If you acquire the entire MFT area, you will be able to obtain meta information for all files and directory that exist within NTFS. In the study, MFT was extracted from PC subject to digital evidence correction, converted into CSV format, and then all metadata was acquired. Although there are many different metadata available in the process, the study was conducted excluding file owners, file rights, and file states that are difficult to convert directly from Windows among file system metadata. Next is the experimental design. First of all, the experimental subject contains experimental of only file types such as documents, images, and videos, excluding system file among all files to verify the proposed methodology. In addition, only I, which contains metadata of R, was set as the experimental subject among the data starting with the selected files R and I. Here are the experimental objectives. The disadvantages of existing digital evidence relevance measurement method is that they individually search or filter each metadata. The experiments consist of two main types, and the first is an experiment to find files similar to one file, basically performing a single action on one file as a base form. And a total of 6 types were composed by adding variation. In this process, the creation times and access time were the file natural change. And in this study, time values are collectively converted after 6 hours of the original file value in order to understand the change in similarity due to change in metadata close to the actual. The second is an experiment to see if clustering can be formed by dataset type through metadata similarity on multiple datasets. Next is the experimental environment. The study to measure the similarity between one file and files written with metadata modified consists of experiments 1 to 4, and the data leakage case provided by NIST was used. The second study was conducted by constructing no more than 100 files for each of the 11 types in Corpora PDF provided by dist Corpora. Corpus exists in PDF format used in different periods for different purposes for each type. First of all, the first type of experiment is changing the file name. Change the name to a different name than the change in string transposition, insertion, etc., and verify that it can be effectively verified even if the file name is changed through two methods. The second type of experiment is file path change. The experiment was conducted by changing it to a higher path, a lower path, and a higher path. The third type of experiment is changing the file size. If the contents of the file change, the file size will change by that size. Therefore, to make sure that these screening methods are used for files, we change file contents. We change the contents and including files with the change size in the dataset as shown below. 4. By combining the experimental types two at a time, it was confirmed that the similarity could be high even if various metadata were changed instead of one change. 5. By combining the experiment types two at a time, it was confirmed that the similarity could be high even if various metadata were changed instead of one change. Metadata for analysis should be metadata for analysis should be pre-processed in advance and converted into a form suitable for analysis. Numerical data such as the file size, modification time, access time, and generation time are expressed in bytes and Unix time and can be used for analysis without separate pre-processing. On the other hand, file names, file paths, and file types with string value require separate pre-processing process depending on their characteristics. When processing file names, remove unnecessary extension and perform normalization to unfile all characters within lowercase letter. It also removes special characters and space. The file path was tokenized by separating in based on the directory separator. After that, for cleaning, normalization process was performed to remove unnecessary space or special character from each token and convert all tokens to lowercase. Among the metadata, file names, file modified times, and generation times may have different value, and there is room for judgment that they are relevant even if they have different value. On the other hand, in the case of file types, it is difficult to judge the relevance when having different values. The type of file types, including image files, video files, document files, and compressed files, and the nature of the evidence varies depending on the type. Therefore, we conduct the study by giving weight values when they of the same file types, even if they are not of the same extension. After performing pre-processing to perform metadata-specified similarity measurement, data standardization was performed to fit all cartridges to same scale. Data standardization is one of the feature scaling methods that match the range of value of different values to a contain variable, which converts values into values with Gaussian normal distributes with mean 0 and variance 1. Here are the results of experiments. A similarity metric was generated based on the similarity measure between each data point in the input data, and the distance metric was generated based on it. Through this, it was possible to select the reference file on the UI to immediately check the file with the highest similarity, and to check the pairs with the highest similarity. The similarity score for the select files and all files if that dataset was 0.049 on average and 0.17 on standard deviation. When we add the distinction for different details objectives, we show stronger cohesiveness. Therefore, it was found that pre-processing, standardization, and weight were reset considering the characterization of metadata. Classification applicable to reality can be made when looking at the result of the experiment alone. That's the That's the conclusion. What this study has sorry. Here is the clustering result based on similar files. And in the experiments, the raw similarity score among modified files was when both the file name and file path were changed. In particular, when the file path was changed to the top path and the file name was changed to a different name, the similarity score was low at 0.73. This could be speculative that there was not much data in the similar size between files inside the dataset, but there was a lot of data between the file path and the top-level path resulting in a decrease in similarity. This is a feature that appears on most PCs, and we can then lower the wait for file paths to solve the problem. Excluding this, we were able to identify most of them with high similarities. So here are the clustering results based on similarity files. The file is not very cohesive, but there were different objectives within the dataset type, and because hyperparameters were arbitrary set, when we add a decision for different details objects, we show stronger cohesive. Therefore, it was found that pre-processing, standardization, and weight were well set, considering the characteristics of metadata. Classification applicable to reality can be made when looking at the result of experimental. That the conclusion, what this study has shown is that if screening schedule using metadata similarity is carried out, some of the limitation of the current screening schedule and search method can be overcome. First, at the time of interior schedule, there is a possibility to obtain as much data as possible related to the array's facts recorded in the information storage medium. Second, the number of methods of verifying the relevance of the allegations to the facts increases. Third, the large capacity of information storage media can significantly reduce the resource and time required for screening. Four, efforts to future screen digital evidence that are not related to the allegations are reduced. In conclusion, this study is virtually the first to cohesively confirm the similarity of various metadata and plans to develop future research and strengthen the proof of the study. This concludes the presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. It is a good grade. It is a good start. She collected 7 metadata. She changed one type of metadata and 2 type of metadata for tests. And she concluded we can use metadata for similarity. Namely, she showed if a digital examiner use metadata in the field, they can seize the evidence related with a criminal case. Okay, thank you so much. And do you have any question? So if you don't have questions, so I want to give one question to the first presenter, but now the time is not enough. So I want to skip the question time. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I would like to introduce the second presenter. Let me introduce our next presenter, Bomi Na, a master's student and a researcher at the Digital Forensic Lab of Sungkyunkwan University. Ms. Na research interests include digital forensics, anti-forensics, and proficiency tests. Today, she will be presenting her latest work entitled A Study on Institutionalization and Advancement of Digital Forensic Proficiency Test Provider. Please give her a warm round of applause.
Hello everyone, I'm Na Bomi from Sangkyungan University, and I will be presenting on the topic of study on institutionalization and advancement of digital forensic proficiency test provider. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude for this opportunity to present our research. Let's begin the presentation. Here is the outline. First, let's talk about conformity assessment. Conformity assessment refers to the process of demonstration that specify requirements relating to a product, process, person, or organization are appropriate. This assessment can be broadly categorized into testing, inspection, certification, and accreditation. Testing involves determining one or more characteristics of a product, process, system, or person against a specified technical procedure or test method. Inspection entails examining products, designs, process, or facilities to determine conformity with specific requirements or to make a professional judgment regarding conformity with general requirements. Certification refers to the issuance of a declaration by a third party concerning products, processes, systems, or persons. Lastly, accreditation involves a third party officially confirming the competence of a conformity assessment body to perform specific conformity assessment tasks. The main conformity assessment systems can be broadly divided into accreditation and certification. These include inspection body accreditation, testing laboratory accreditation, calibration laboratory accreditation, and so on. Such conformity assessments proceed with equivalence evaluation conducted by accreditation bodies within mutual recognition arrangements. Accreditation bodies then conduct conformity assessments on conformity assessment bodies. For inspection, testing, and calibration, certification can be obtained in the form of a certificate of conformity assessment results, and reports can be issued to customers. The reasons for conducting conformity assessment are diverse. First, conformity assessment systems conducted solely at the national level are inefficient and may lead to issues such as technological barriers to trade. Technological barriers can be classified into political, policy regulation, and technical regulation. Political and policy regulation includes subsidies and quotas, while technical regulation includes technical specifications, standards, and conformity assessment. Technical specification encompass administrative regulation applicable to the characteristics of goods or related processes and production methods, with compliance enforced by mandatory documents. In contrast, standards are documents regulating common and repetitive use of characteristics of goods or related process and production method approved by recognized bodies. Technological regulations such as technical specification, standard, and conformity assessment, if recognized universally by all countries through a single test or inspection, can dismantle trade barriers and bring advantages such as internal accepted standard. In other words, by ensuring that products, processes, systems, persons, or organizations from one's own or other countries meet regulated requirements, the issue of trade barriers can be addressed globally through recognition certification. In relation to this, there are principles of the International Organization for ISO. It aims to ensure that a single standard and single test is accepted worldwide. In 1955, with the signing of the WTO-TBT agreement, the criteria for determining trade barriers are adopted as international standard. Moreover, based on international standard, Mutual Recognition Agreement (MRA) are established to enable products of domestic companies to be accepted internationally. MRA include the mutual recognition of the results of conformity assessment between the parties to the agreement. International organizations related to conformity assessment include ILAC, IAF, and others. As you can see in the diagram, at the top of the conformity assessment system are conformity assessment accreditation corporations, such as ISO, top of conformity assessment committee, ISO, CSACO, and IEC. Below them, accreditation corporations such as ILAC and IAF operate. And as previously mentioned, there are regional cooperation organizations such as EA, APAC, IAAC for each world region. Additionally, there are organizations functioning as regional accreditation bodies under regional cooperation organizations. For instance, in APAC, organizations like CNAS and COLAS, its regional accreditation organization, is responsible for conducting conformity assessment tasks such as calibration, testing, inspection, and proficiency testing. Ultimately, through recognition and certification actions, accredited marks are awarded to customers. The issued certificate report include accredited marks and are internationally recognized within the scope of agreement. There are various types of key standards related to conformity assessment, such as ISO IEC 17025 specifies general requirements for the competence of testing and calibration laboratories. And ISO IEC 17043 outlines general requirement for proficiency testing related to conformity assessment. Proficiency testing refers to the evaluation of participants' performance against established criteria through comparison among testing and calibration laboratories. ISO IEC 17043 specifies general requirements for the competence of proficiency testing scheme operator and for the development and operation of proficiency testing schemes. In relation to proficiency testing, proficiency testing items refers to samples, products, artifact, reference material, equipment, measurement standard, or a series of data or other information used for proficiency testing. A proficiency testing scheme operator provider refers to an organization that carries out or tasks related to development and operation of a proficiency testing scheme. A proficiency testing scheme program is defined as a proficiency testing designed and operated in one or more rounds for a specific field such as testing, measurement, calibration, or inspection. With the advent of digital transformation, the field of testing and certification has also transitioned into the digital testing and certification industry. So there is a growing demand for adapting to this new environment change. In the field of digital forensics, the demand for testing laboratory accreditation is gradually increasing. Testing laboratory accreditation requires maintaining capabilities and quality through proficiency testing continuously. Therefore, in this study, we conducted domestic and international case study and analyzed to derive considerations for the establishment and development of proficiency testing scheme providers in the field of digital forensics. To achieve this, we conducted visits to proficiency testing scheme providers certified by COLAS in other fields domestically, as well as digital forensic testing laboratories certified by COLAS, and conducted interviews with practitioners. Specifically, we verified aspects such as proficiency testing preparation, execution procedure and methods, and so on. For proficiency testing scheme abroad, we participate in proficiency testing conducted by organizations operating under ISO/IEC 17043 in the field of digital forensics to verify, compare, and analyze procedures and methods. We visited the National Forensic Service, a certified proficiency testing scheme provider related to ISO/IEC 17043, and conducted document reviews and interviews. Regarding the current status of proficiency testing participation, such as personal participation cycle, program, and cost, it was reported that proficiency testing was conducted through CTS in 2020, and they participated in the proficiency testing with linear assessment in the first half of 2023 through CTS. The digital forensic qualification assessment and expert training program are conducted internally targeting digital forensic investigators at the Digital Investigation Department of the Supreme Prosecutor's Office annually. They conduct an in-house digital forensic qualification assessment, creating a question bank and selecting about 6 personnel nationwide for the expert training program. In addition to proficiency testing, there are difficulties related to language interpretation, time calculation, and analysis using origin equipment. Regarding time calculation, caution is required due to the application of UTC plus 9 hours in South Korea. Lastly, it was noted that there are some differences in mobile device analysis, as they primarily use UFED to create images targeting Google Pixel 5, which differs somewhat from the equipment commonly used and analyzed domestically. Here are the investigation results from the National Digital Forensic Centers, a certified testing organization. Since the National Digital Forensic Center holds accreditation not only for ISO/IC 17043, but also for 17025. Proficiency testing was conducted through CTS participation, with proficiency testing conducted for mobile and digital field each year. Starting from 2023, it will be conducted on a linear basis. At the National Digital Forensic Center, when new employees join, they undergo 6 months of joint appraisal as a form of on-the-job training related to professional competency. Regarding other aspects related to proficiency testing, responses indicated the need for review concerning issues in question interpretation, cost concern, and lack of novelty in problems due to regularity in performance. Additionally, while ISO/IEC 17025 is validated by securing evidence to adhere to standard, ISO/IEC 17043 involves participants in the process, which may be somewhat cumbersome. Here is the comparison table between the National National Institute of Science Investigation and National Digital Forensic Center. The National Institute of Scientific Investigation operated as an ISO/IC 17043 proficiency testing organization, while the National Digital Forensic Center operates as a 17025 accredited testing organization. There isn't a significant difference in the elements required for accreditation. Both entities conducted consultations and underwent and preparation period of 1 year and 6 months. It took around 6 months to 1 year to obtain accreditation for both organizations. Here are the details of the proficiency tests directly participate in both. Firstly, there's the CTS. Unlike other proficiency tests, it expanded its scope to include video and audio field starting from 2023. It is traditionally one of the most widely used proficiency tests, structured in a question and answer format, and provides an environment for distributing proficiency test items and submitting answers through a separate portal. The question and answers are publicly available through the CTS website. In the case of ISFC, unlike CTS, the questions are not presented in the problem and answer format. It was characterized by participants directly writing and submitting analysis reports, with the provision of a basic framework required for submission. Evaluation results are presented in the form of participant reports, individual participant reports, and summary reports. Unlike CTS, evaluations were conducted within the broader framework. Specifically, while CTS provided answers and statistics for 33 individual items, ISFCE provided statistics based on whether certain aspects were included in the report, such as the presence of 5 evaluation elements and identification of 5 items. Finally, regarding the Forensic Foundation, please note that there was a typo on a slide ISFCE. The test application was made on May 5, 2023, and the actual date of sample delivery was June 12, 2023. The submission period was 2 months from June 12 to August 18, during which participants could choose to submit via postal delivery or website upload. Unlike ISFC and CTS, the Forensic Foundation proficiency test includes questions requiring legal knowledge through case analysis. It is characterized by participants describing issues related to overall overview in report format rather than the question-answer format of short answers. Here's a summary. CTS offers proficiency tests not only in computer and mobile field, but also in video and audio domains. The Forensic Foundation requires participants to provide the tools used in their analysis. It was observed that proficiency test items are distributed using both online and offline methods. Proficiency test procedure shows some difference among each operating organization, but overall they are similar. Application, payment of fees, recipe of proficiency test item, test participation, submission of analysis results, receipt of results report. Participation and guidance methods utilizes website, email, and so on. The proficiency test period takes 2 months, and the cost ranges from a minimum of $150 to $650. Proficiency test results are publicly available on the CTS website, while SFC and Forensic Foundation only provide separate guidance to participants. Evaluation methods include determining the adequacy of proficiency test items, evaluating inclusion in the submitted material, or providing comments and opinions on the submitted material. Here are the key issues regarding proficiency tests in the field of digital forensics that derived from proficiency research findings. Firstly, the applicability of the concept of measurement uncertainty. Measurement uncertainty represents a quantitative indicator that reflects the reliability of measurement results. In the context of digital forensics, where measurements are conducted or electronic files represented by combination of 0 seconds and 1 second, there is a challenge in measuring uncertainty. Secondly, the need for diversification of proficiency test scheme scenarios and target device. It is necessary to develop proficiency test scheme for digital forensics covering various material, including cloud IoT and so on. Thirdly, in Korea, there are currently MRA agreement for ISO IC 17025 and 15189, but no formal MRA agreement for 17043. However, despite the absence of MRA agreement, proficiency tests are being operated internationally based on mutual recognition of ISO IC 17043. Firstly, there are interpretation issues with the question presented with proficiency test, there were instances of discrepancies in submitted answers due to difference in interpretation of questions provided by manufacturer. It may be necessary to consider providing interpretations in languages other than English. Lastly, proficiency test operations need to adapt to the trend of changing content, such as samples and scheme, requiring more preparation beyond testing institution accreditation, including continuous compliance with recognition requirement. Lastly, let's discuss the institutional development approach when establishing a proficiency test operating organization in the field of digital forensic. Firstly, expanding the scope of digital forensic proficiency tests and scheme. It is possible to apply proficiency tests to digital forensics education by utilizing image files as course materials. Alternatively, proficiency tests can be applied to existing practitioners for competency assessment and applied to verify the suitability of companies participating in digital forensic service based on proficiency test results. Secondly, utilizing proficiency tests as a system for expert certification and competence maintenance. Proficiency tests are conducted 3 to 4 times a year, and because proficiency is judged based on performance results, regardless of experience, they are conducive to competency evaluation. Thirdly, expanding mutual recognition agreements, MRA, and their demand scope. ISO IEC 17043 MRA agreements are necessary for the maintenance of operations to expand the demand for proficiency test operating organization. Firstly, establishing an expert pool to serve as external verification committee members for proficiency test operation. Experts are needed to review the appropriateness of proficiency test scheme design, validate the suitability of question, and ensure the objectivity of proficiency test operation. It is necessary to strategically manage expert through future expansion into a digital forensic personnel database linked with the national talent database. With that, I conclude this presentation. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you. There was an excellent presentation. I can summarize. There are 6 accredited testing agencies in the digital forensic in South Korea, but there's no accredited proficiency testing agency. Now they use the proficiency test program for CFT, ISFC, Forensic Foundation overseas. Today, the presenter suggested the establishment of a proficiency testing agency in the field of digital forensics in South Korea. Thank you. And I guess there are some questions, but 2 presenters, first and second, conducted extensive research. So now I have no time. So I am sorry that I skipped question time. Thank you so much. Okay, and I would like to introduce the third presenter. The third presenter is Jae-hyun Jung, a master's student in the Department of Forensic Science at Sungkyunkwan University. Her presentation is titled "An Inquiry into the Integration of Extended Reality Technologies in the Digital Forensics, Exploring efficacy challenges and opportunities. His research interests include digital forensics and XR technologies. As I mentioned, he recorded his presentation in advance. Please play the video file.
Hello everyone. Due to my flight schedule following the I have obstructed the slides. Thank you for your understanding. If you have any questions or are interested in my project, please feel free to contact me via email or LinkedIn. You can find my contact information on my introduction page. Today I'll be discussing the integration of anything more about my work or the company. Please reach out so we can discuss further. It's important to note that the contents of the presentations are confidential, even though it will be available on YouTube. If you have any questions, please contact me using the details provided. This is a real-time map of Kaspersky cyber threats taken yesterday. Various kinds of cyber threats are now being made, and among them, various threats are being made against South Korea. According to Korea's National Intelligence Service's Cyber Threat Status Report, approximately 1.37 million hacking attempts are detected on average per day. In a situation where it is urgent to cultivate security personnel with practical skills, there are limitations to training all security training in a real environment. In case from South Korea, the owner of a large-scale entertainment venue in Busan, who was under investigations for tax evasion amounting to 86 billion won, had their original sentence of 3 years in prison and a fine of 9 billion won completely overturned on appeal. This was due to duplicated files that were not identical to the original. If the digital forensics process is contaminated, no matter how decisive the evidence is, it will lose its ability to prove it. In other words, in digital forensics, procedures are very important. Today, we face a global crisis fueled by technological advancements, leading to an evolution in cybercrime. As many of you know, digital forensics is a specialized branch of forensic science focused on recovering, analyzing, and reporting electronically stored data. This process involves 5 critical steps and adheres to 5 core principles. In cyber investigations, timing is crucial for maintaining the integrity of digital evidence. This underscores the importance of first responders who, though not always cyber specialists, must possess fundamental digital forensics knowledge. This necessity has prompted the development of more accessible training methods for these crucial early interveners. Once first responders secure the scene, the digital forensics process transitions to its most critical phase, analysis. Various tools such as Axiom, Encase, Celebrite, and chain analysis are employed for this purpose. I'd like to extend a special thanks to Eric Zimmerman for his contributions to his tools. However, analysts often struggle with data visualizations due to increasing data volumes, big data. Traditional 2D displays limit our ability to effectively present this information, driving our team to explore the integration of extended reality technologies into digital forensics to overcome these barriers. The demand for digital forensics professionals has grown exponentially due to the surge in cybercrime, yet entering this field remains challenging. A recent survey that I have conducted indicated that 75% of respondents believe improvements are necessary in the education of digital forensics, highlighting the gap between current educational practices and the industry's needs. The problems identified as a result of the surveys are as follows. Trainees face issues with low accessibility and high cost of equipment, while education providers encounter spatial constraints in setting up environments and financial burdens, along with challenges in adapting to rapidly changing environments. These issues from both groups ultimately contribute to a national shortage of cyber investigation personnel. In the realm of integrating VR with digital forensics and data visualization, several notable studies have been conducted. Firstly, the 2023 study titled Proposed Adoption of Virtual Reality Framework in Digital Forensics Curriculum examined essential digital forensics topics to be covered in scenario-based labs. These research involved surveying digital forensics models in U.S. programs and the prevalence of these courses. Although the team developed a virtual reality workstation lab, they faced challenges such as debugging, compilation errors, and obtaining accurate photogrammetry scans for 3D imaging. Despite these issues, the study successfully demonstrated the potential of VR in representing digital forensics, affirming the research's overall success despite technical obstacles. Secondly, the study exploring the learning efficacy of digital forensics concepts and tagging of digital devices and immersive virtual reality. That's long. Presented at DFRWS 2020 USA. Included a diverse group of participants and created more realistic VR scenarios compared to 2023's article. However, the VR environment lacked interactive elements, primarily replicating traditional education methods by using slides within the virtual space. Notably, the study revealed improved test scores post-intervention, which suggests effectiveness but also highlights the limited use of VR's interactive capabilities. These observations lead to my proposal for a more interactive VR scenario for digital forensics education. Our scenario encompasses all necessary steps in the digital forensic process and aims to bridge the gap with reality by incorporating realistic 3D models of digital forensics equipment that users can interact with. This approach not only enhances learning through active engagement, but also makes high-end equipment accessible virtually, which may not be feasible in traditional educational settings. This integration promises a more immersive and effective learning environment, fully leveraging VR technology's potential. Our VR scenario for digital forensics training begins with a focus on realism, starting with an introduction that sets the stage using a simulated real-world case. For legal and ethical reasons, we've opted to utilize the CFREDS project's data leakage scenario as our foundational case study. Next would be preparation stage. In this phase, participants get hands-on with tools that they might not otherwise have access to, enabling a practical understanding of digital forensics procedure. They engage in activities such as selecting the necessary tools for data acquisition, verifying tool functionality, and creating warrant copies, etc. This part of the scenario is designed to familiarize participants with the preparation and readiness steps essential in real forensics investigations. Over the course of a month, in the exposition stage, we developed a VR replica of the Falcon Forensics Imaging Tool. Participants interact with this tool as if they were processing actual evidence, complete with anti-static gloves and other realistic features. Although the video playback within the segment is somewhat small and shaky due to the limitation of recording through a single lens of the VR headsets, once participants wear the headset, these minor issues can hinder the immersive experience. Analysis stage. Feedback from professionals in the field has greatly influenced the development of this stage. Participants access a virtual lab structured after UN's official lab guidelines through a secure authentication process. We've integrated the open source SleuthKit for command line interaction within VR environment. While there have been challenges in fully integrating data analysis capabilities within the headset, all other functionalities are intact. To add an element of real-world unpredictability and learning, we simulate common errors such as reversing the connection between evidence and storage devices. Such mistakes will have serious consequences in actual cases, but here they serve as valuable teaching moments. We log these errors and monitor tool usage to ensure learning is effective. Additionally, we introduce scenarios where investigative processes is interrupted by detainees, enhancing the realism and preparing participants for potential real-life interruptions. Through these comprehensive VR training scenarios, we aim to provide a deeply immersive and educational experience that bridges the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical digital forensic skills. We recently conducted a beta test with students to evaluate our XR Digital Forensics training program. We divided the students into 3 groups based on their prior experience with digital forensics and imaging equipment. Following a brief training session using our XR simulator, all groups took the same exam. The results were promising. Students trained with the simulator outperformed those with only theoretical knowledge. Even those with prior equipment experience showed significant gains, validating the simulator's effectiveness in imparting both theoretical and practical knowledge. And we even got optimistic feedbacks of our VR course as well. Looking ahead, we aim to refine and expand our VR program to set new standards in digital forensics education. Many institutions recognize the potential of XR in forensics education, though widespread acceptance may take time. We anticipate it could take about a year for users to fully embrace this technology. We've faced several challenges, notably the physical limitations of current hardware and the issue of VR sickness, which causes discomfort due to conflicting sensory signals in virtual environments. While hardware improvements depend on advancements from companies like Apple and Samsung, we plan to address VR sickness by adopting international testing methodologies to enhance our project's credibility and user engagement. An exciting opportunity lies in our auto scene generator, ASG. Inspired by uses in media such as Netflix's Vortex, where drones capture real crime scenes for later virtual analysis. We aim to develop this technology within 2 years, offering a new tool for revisiting and analyzing crime scenes in virtual reality. Additionally, integrating complex data visualization into VR could significantly aid analysts in fields like digital forensics and social network analysis, making the process more intuitive and effective.
We plan to address
Thank you
VR
for
systems
listening,
by
and if you
adopting
guys have any
international testing
questions, just
methodologies
contact
to
me
enhance our
on LinkedIn
project
or email. Thank you.
credibility and user engagement. An exciting opportunity lies in our auto scene generator, ASG. Inspired by uses in media such as Netflix's Vortex, where drones capture real crime scenes for later virtual analysis. We aim to develop this
Fantastic
technology
presentation.
within 2 years, applying a new tool for revision.
Okay, fantastic presentation. Visualization is also good. Thank you for the insightful presentation. She showed we can use XR for digital forensics training. I hope the presenter create a company and develop it. Thank you so much. Okay, if you have any question, please send the question to the presenter's email address. 재현, JAEHYUN 226, JAEHYUN 226 at gmail.com. Please send the email JAEHYUN, sorry, JAEHYUN 226 at gmail.com. Thank you so much. Okay, the first presenter is Byung-hun Moon, a PhD student in the Department of Forensic Science at Sungkyunkwan University. Mr. Moon currently serves as a police officer and teaches subjects on cybercrime investigation and data analysis at the Korean Police Investigation Academy. He is recognized as the foremost expert in social network analysis within the Korean police. Today, the topic is analysis of cyber gambling organized crime networks, investigative strategies through centrality and structural holes. His research interests are cybercrime investigation, digital forensics, and social network analysis. Please give a big round of applause for the presenter.
Hello, everyone. My name is Byung-hun Moon, and I am a PhD student in the Department of Forensic Science at Sungkyunkwan University. Thank you for taking your time and paying attention to my presentation today. The presentation is follows. The background and purpose of this study. Our society is witnessing a growing data volume for criminal investigations as smart devices and social media become more prevalent. In addition, factors such as social polarization and rising unemployment rates are affecting the financial stability of the ordinary person, which in turn is contributing to an increase in cybercrime. In 2006, the Korean Criminal Procedure Act was revised to more focus on trials, requiring law enforcement to convince judges and juries of innocence in court. This shift to a trial-centered system underscores the increasing importance of evidence collection for law enforcement. However, law enforcement agencies still rely on traditional investigative techniques and have not yet fully integrated data analytics into their practice. We undertook a comprehensive review to understand how data related to criminal investigations is currently being explored in scientific research. In particular, we focused on a method called social network analysis, which is widely used in the United States, Australia, and Europe. Meanwhile, various approaches to analyzing criminal data are emerging in Korea, such as deep learning, web archives, and financial forensics. In Korea, most studies focus on explaining the methodology of social network analysis rather than delving into specific data sets. The studies from the United States are the countries which are active in criminal organization research using social network analysis. Most of these studies have examined crimes such as drug trafficking, sex trafficking, and terrorism. It's important to note, however, that these analyses predominantly use publicly available data sources such as social media and court decisions. In addition, most research tends to focus on examining a single criminal organization at a time. Based on prior research, this study examined how call logs and statements used by law enforcement are used in criminal investigations. Rather than focusing on a single criminal organization, this study examined and compared the structure and roles of members in 3 cyber gambling criminal organizations. In this study, we examined crime data from organizations that operated 3 cyber gambling sites, which we refer to as Football, Orange, and Mint. We collected crime data from the call logs and members of these that were collected during the investigation. We used statements from informants and members to understand more about the organizations. From these statements, we identified the relationships between members before they became involved with the criminal group. Then we analyzed the data from both the call logs and the statements using a software program called NetMiner. The specific techniques we used in our analysis are centrality and structural whole, which are part of social network analysis. This investigation was part of my work in the cyber investigation unit. Here are the results of the analysis. First, the network structure of the call log. The network density is loosely connected with the density of 0.189 for football, 0.476 for orange, and 0.255 for mint. This is higher than the density of drug trafficking organizations in Spain and New York, USA. However, it is similar to or lower than the density of heavy electronics price fixing organizations in the USA. Centralization is concentrated around a small number of nodes. This is likely due to the close ties of relatives or friends among members. This network structure is important for understanding the structure and communication patterns of criminal organizations. The following is the centrality of the call log. First, the general manager who oversees the operations of the organization is a central position in any organization, and they are all identified as key players. The general managers of football and mint have a high in degree. This means that they receive a high amount of communication from people. It also indicates that they are prestigious and popular. In addition, their high out degree indicates that they actively influence and control the members. They also have the highest eigenvector in the organization. This shows the influence of the network and the cross connection between the members. On the other hand, the general manager of Orange has a low centrality compared to Football and Mint. This is because the Orange general manager also plays the role of programmer. Programmers work behind the scene to keep the organization running smoothly. Moreover, programmers are the most secure in any cyber gambling organization. Therefore, the centrality of the Orange general manager is lower than that of the Football and Mint. Secondly, the manager who is in a middleman management role has a high betweenness and acts as a broker in the organization. Football's international office manager and Orange's domestic office manager one have the highest betweenness in their organizations. This means that they act as broker between the top and the bottom. However, Mint's manager has a low betweenness of 0.1. This is because the way the Mint operates is different from other organizations. Football and Orange have gambling office overseas to avoid being tracked by law enforcement. However, Mint has an officer in South Korea because of COVID-19. Therefore, Mint was centered around the general manager rather than the manager. This changes the situation was reflected in the betweenness. Finally, the centrality of distributors to promote and step to do the actual work is low. Football step 4, Orange step 3, and Mint's distributor 1 have a high centrality among lower level members. This means that they are influential in the same hierarchy or have close ties to middle manager or higher up. These findings provide important clues to the criminal organization's investigative strategy. High centrality can be used to identify low-level members who are breaking contact with the outside world. These are the results of statement centrality. Statement identified important people who were not identified by call-log. Football's international office team leader 2, Orange's international office team leader, and Mint's step 3 were not identified as key player by call-log. However, they all have high numbers in statement and play prominent roles. This supports the member's statement that they have a lot of experience in crime and a close connection to the general manager. This means that call log alone cannot reveal the full structure of a criminal network. Therefore, integrating data from different sources is a more accurate way to analyze criminal networks. Finally, structural hole in the call log. The general manager has a high effective size in organizations, and the effective size of general manager varies from organizations to organization. The difference in the effective size of general manager can be explained by the hierarchy. Orange's general manager which has a low effective size, has a horizontal structure with a hierarchy of 0.208. In reality, Orange is made up of hometown brands. However, the general manager of Mint, which has the highest effective size, has a centralized structure with a hierarchy of 0.914. Mint's general manager was a woman in her 50s who used her authority to control younger male members in their 20s. The efficiency and effective size of the manager suggests that she plays a mediating role in the network. The interesting thing is the structural holes in the middle managers in similar role and positions show difference. In particular, football's International Office Team Leader 1 and International Office Team Leader 2 have the same role, but show different results in all. The results are consistent with betweenness and structural hole in the call logs. This suggests that the organization acts as a broker to control the flow of information. Discussion and conclusion. There are the academic implications. First, this study compared the network structure of 3 cyber gambling organizations. It provides the insight into the key players in the network and how their roles change depending on how they operate. This provides scalability for networks analysis of different crimes and criminal data. Second, we compared the statement data with call logs. This revealed the prominence and the location of individuals who were difficult to identify from call logs alone. This finding highlights the importance of integrating and using crime data from different sources. Third, the structural hole showed that different methods of social network analysis are useful. Prior studies have only used centrality in their analysis. The introduction of structural hole to overcome the limitation of betweenness provides a new perspective and direction for analyzing crime data. The practical implications are as follows. First, I suggest the feasibility of using social network analysis in various criminal investigations. Second, the relationship degree and centrality extracted from the statement data suggests the direction of utilization of statement data. In addition, we suggest new research directions on how to effectively utilize unstructured data. Finally, structural holes identify the weaknesses of criminal organizations and suggest the investigation strategy. We expect it to become an essential tool for detecting and analyzing organizations in phishing crime, which are becoming increasingly organized. Thank you very much.
So interesting. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. This topic will be very interesting to all audiences. Presenter compares the network structure of 3 online gambling organizations. He proves there is the key players in the networks. It provides scalability for network analysis of different crimes and criminal data. Also, his research showed the law enforcement agencies can use the social network analysis for various criminal investigation. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it is the final presenter. The final presenter is Kyungju Lee, who has a master's degree. She was a researcher at the digital forensic lab in the digital forensic lab at Sungkyunkwan University. Ms. Lee has conducted research on data forensics, cyber security strategy, cybercrime international cooperation, and the footprint search technology. Today, her topic is ransomware attack, criminal law revision, comparative analysis of ransomware criminal law in Korea and the United States. So now we have time just 90 minutes. Please use just 16 or 17 minutes. I am so sorry. Okay, please give a big round of applause to our last presenter.
Hello. Thank you for the explanation for attending my presentation. It is my pleasure to give this presentation today. The topic goals of this presentation is ransomware attacks, criminal law revisions. But I don't have much time. I will do it quickly. So before I start, allow me to introduce myself. And I'm Kyungju Lee, and I'm a Bachelor of Law, and I'm a Master of Data Forensic in Sungkyunkwan University. And then I'm interested in studying cybercrime and data forensic and criminal law. So I will divide my presentation into 6 sections. And then let's start with at the first step is ransomware definition and evolution. So first, the definition of ransomware. As you know, ransomware is a type of malicious software that penetrates computer system and then encryption file and demand ransomware in exchange for discretion key. It is commonly used to restrict user access to file and export financial rewards for discretion key. And 2, ransomware evolution. Ransomware is evolved 4 generation, and 1 generation ransomware took the form of ransomware delivered via mail on a floppy disk. Upon execution, is encryption the PC root directory and demand payment. The second generation of ransomware involves securing the victim data and then encryption the target data and system. And then the third generation of ransomware is RDDoS, called ransomware destruction denial of service. And then last 4 generation ransomware as a service called LAS. LAS is developed and some cell ransomware operates under the profit sharing or model with distributors who carry out the actual deployment. And secondary, we'll move it. So we'll move it on to my second point, ransomware trend. This story focuses on South Korea. Please take into consideration. In Korea, ransomware was first launched in 2015, and Korean version. And the Korean version of ransomware was in the form of drive-by download. And then since June 2017, Nayana, and then Grab in 2019, and then Club 2020, and Kishin ransomware, and then last continues. So Korea has been actively trying to prevent and respond to ransomware on multiple fronts. In August 2021, the government, in collaboration with relevant ministry, is to distribute the ransomware response strength measure. But I will later about the criminal legislation regarding ransomware in South Korea and its associates issue. So this is case so famous. Ransomware in the United States, event summary is on May 7, 2021. The United States pipeline operate Colonial Pipeline suffered a ransomware attack. Regulating in the South shutdown, and then the company faced 75 Bitcoin to the group known as a dark side. Shortly after, the FBI announced the recovery of 63.7 Bitcoin, approximately to $3.3 million. And then, since then, various efforts have been made in the United States. President Biden issued an executive order for national cyber security, and then protecting of federal government network. First, next, I will talk about ransomware criminal legislation in an issue Korea. In South Korea, there is no ransomware regulation. So ransomware can be prosecuted under the Information and Community Network Act for discretion. And Network Act, and then Criminal Act to act with the Now, criminal issue in Korea. In the current legal framework for South Korea, there is no specific provision regulating ransomware. Therefore, ransomware lacks a definition within the law. Ransomware implies corrective act where victim to demand ransom under the guise of data description. So, next to cooperation of criminal regulation on ransomware in the United States, there is a law called the CFAA in the United States. CFAA is the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. CFAA stipulates both attempt to access or access a security computer without authority. And so, yes. And then in the United States, four states regulate and punish ransomware. Four states is Wyoming and California and Texas and last Connecticut state. In 2020, starting with Wyoming, followed by California and Texas in 2017, and Connecticut in 2018. A total of 4 states implement law defining and penalizing ransomware attacks. So the same goes for Texas and Connecticut. Both states punish ransomware, of which Texas has different punishment depending on the fate of the store data. Both the CFAA and state law in the United States criminalize extortion act involving ransomware with varying penalty and fine. However, they are treat ransomware as a serious offense. And I summarize law Korea and CFA, and then 4 state law in a table. This table is divided into 3 categories, and 1 category ransomware definition, and 2 category extortion. 3 category punishment. If you look at it, you can see that Korea does not stimulate ransomware exists for punishment, and all 4 states do. And then last we going look at the first suggestion is establish of spec provisions for ransomware. And it is important to define ransomware and examine its constitution elements. Yes, so ransomware can be defined at the act of an authority individual restrict access. And a second is punishments for ransomware production and procession. With the last such in the case based on yes, it is essential to penalize the act of producing and processing ransomware. And then third, punishment based on the value of stored data. In the Texas law, when data is damaged with the intent, default, or harm another, yes. And then last conclusion is divide into signification and limit and virtual research direction. As a result of separate analysis for ransomware-related law in Korea and the United States. This study relieved the direction of revision of the ransomware criminal law. But there are still limitations. This study still provides abstract guideline, more country-specific ransomware legislation comparative are needed, and EU or Canada and UK it. As for but future research direction, there is a need of research on spec revision provide. Yes. Yes. And then there is a need for research on fiction revision provide and clarification for fine according the seriously for the value of stored data. Yes. The end is my talk. Thank you for having listened to me so far. Thank you for.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation. Most of all, I am so sorry. I cannot give the time fully, but most of all, the time is so perfect for our schedule. As you know, ransomware is so serious all around the world. The presenter compared legislative response with both Korea and the USA. I hope the presenter, Kyung-Ju Lee, revises the legislation against the ransomware attack in the National Assembly. I hope. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. The first session of the Cybersecurity Revolution 2024 has come to an end. I hope you all found the presentations informative and thought-provoking. There are numerous research ideas to explore in this session. I would like to extend my sincerest thanks to 5 distinguished presenters for sharing their research and expertise with us today. Your contributions has been invaluable. Lastly, I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Chadu Whelan from Deakin University, Australia, who will be taking over as co-organizer for the next session, the second session. Thank you all for your participation, and I look forward to seeing you next year with even more exciting topics. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the section of cybercrime in the Indo-Pacific region, trends and challenges. I'm Lennon Cheng. I'm Associate Professor of Cyber Policy, Risk and Policy at in the Center for Cyber Resilience and Trust at Deakin University. Today, we have 3 PhDs plus 1 PhD students, or actually 2 PhD students here with us. We try to make this section interactive as well as a promising academic showcase their research as well as academic who are doing research in the region. I'll introduce them later, but before I continue in the section, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owner of the land where I log from and pay respect to the elders past, present, and emerging. So today we have 4 speakers here. We got the newly minted Dr. Andy Brown, and also newly minted Dr. Dohui Pan, and we also have Dr. Shuvik Mukherjee and Miss Inasha Sharifa, if I pronounce your surname well. We'll have 2 presentations on topics related to traditional crime or emerging crime that is facilitated or created using new technology. And we also have 2 presentations more onto the issue related to crime prevention and cybercrime investigation. So we'll start with Dr. Andy Brown, Dr. soon-to-be, maybe next week. Dr. Andy is a research fellow at Deakin University at the moment. Her primary research area focuses on harms associated with technology and gender-based violence, with a significant amount of her work being conducted in the intersection between these 2 issues. And she's now investigating how to reduce perpetration of technology-facilitated abuse, especially in the context of sexual, domestic, and family violence. So she's going to present the title that she's going to present on as threat modeling intimate partner violence for the Internet of Things, IoT. While the Internet of Things are getting popular in our everyday life, consumers' Internet of Things or smart technology can be misused in the perpetration of Internet partner violence, IPV. Yet the threat of Internet partner violence is rare, if ever, considered in smart tech development or threat modeling practices. So today she will discuss the need to consider intimate partner violence as an emergent threat in the consumer Internet of Things landscape. Over to you, Andy.
Thanks, Lennon. While I'm just setting up my share here, I'd also like to acknowledge traditional owners of the land on which I'm joining you from as well. Okay, so hopefully you can all see the share screen. Correct? Yep. Happy? All right, we'll get started. Thank you. All right, so as Lennon said there, I'm looking today at how we do threat modeling for intimate partner violence with the Internet of Things. So I've just put up my contact details there. If you want to get in touch with me, I'll throw them up at the end as well. So you've got plenty of time to reach out to me if you have any more questions or anything that we'll address at the end. So as an overview, I'm going to look at what is intimate partner violence, how can IoT facilitate intimate partner violence, who has a role in addressing IoT facilitated IPV, why is IPV threat modeling important in relation to the Internet of Things, and then where might challenges to IoT facilitated intimate partner violence threat modeling arise. So to kick us off, looking at what is intimate partner violence, the World Health Organization defines this as behavior within an intimate relationship that causes physical, sexual, or psychological harm, including acts of aggression, physical, sexual coercion, psychological abuse, and controlling behaviors. And importantly, this definition covers violence by both current and former spouses and partners. So you can see on the left there that perpetrators spy, gaslight, coerce, threaten, humiliate, financially disadvantage, or otherwise exert power and control upon victim survivors. This is a non-exhaustive list. There's a lot of ways that intimate partner violence is enacted. but I just wanted to bring you some of the key overarching ones so you have an idea of what we're talking about today. So in terms of how can IoT facilitate intimate partner violence, this is stemming from the rapid expansion of consumer Internet of Things. So what we're seeing is this rapid expansion where we're getting the availability of IoT leading to a significantly increased connectivity, transfer, and accessibility of data, which is obviously fantastic for the Internet of Things. That's what it's trying to do. That's the aim of it. So it's marketed as, increasing convenience, ease of use, you get more control over your devices, your preferences and usage history is recorded, and you remotely interact with your technology because it's all internet connected, which is great. That's what it's aiming to do. The problem with this, though, is obviously that perpetrators can exploit those capabilities. So you can see in the image all the devices being connected. All of those have sensors. They're all embedded, gathering all that data, communicating it to all these different devices across the network. So what we see with intimate partner violence then is that connectivity actually leads to this concept called omnipresence, which is the constant presence of an abuser or abuse in the lives of victims. So this leads to them to feeling as though they're constantly under surveillance. They can always be accessible. Perpetrators use this to, as I said, right, commit those spy, coerce, threaten, humiliate behaviors because the technology really facilitates their access to victim survivors and their data and their devices and their control over those devices. So I want to bring the cycle of violence in consideration here. So when we think about intimate partner violence, we have a tendency to think of it as only occurring in this acute explosion phase. So this is when things are really escalating and hitting the roof, and victims might start thinking about leaving, they're protecting themselves, calling police, all these sorts of things. But what we actually know is that there are two other phases. So we have what we call the honeymoon phase, the tension building phase, before we get to the explosion phase. So in terms of how Internet of Things devices might play into this, what we might see is in the honeymoon phase, when things are going smoothly in the relationship, the perpetrator might buy a consumer IoT device for the victim and gift it to them and say, here's a present for you. And then in that tension building phase, they're going to start exploiting that device. They're going to start spying on the victim survivor. They're going to start collating data from it. They're going to start potentially threatening the victim survivor based on the access that they have to the device, all these sorts of things that can possibly arise. And then they're going to use all of that and end up in the acute explosion phase. And this is where we're going to get things like maybe some non-consensual image sharing, for example. So they've given them a home security camera. It's for your protection, it's for your safety. They're deeply in love. How amazing, they're showing me all this attention and affection. In that tension building phase, they're going to be using that to drop in and spy on them, record bits of what they're doing in their home. And then potentially in that acute explosion phase, they're going to start releasing some of that footage that's designed to humiliate them. It's designed to threaten them. It's designed to make them feel uncomfortable and have that intimate partner violence behavior associated with it. So this is obviously really problematic, and we need to then start addressing the issue. So in terms of who has a role in addressing IoT facilitated abuse, there are a range of key stakeholders. What we tend to see usually is more on the left-hand side of things, the domestic family violence specialists, victim survivors, education, potentially healthcare, all these sorts of actors coalescing and usually end up with the bulk of the responsibility for protection and for reducing these sorts of issues. But when it comes to IoT, I really wanted to focus in on the other side of the equation. So on this right-hand side here, you can see that I believe technologists, IoT tech industry associations, government regulators, consumer protection groups, legal professionals as well, have quite a substantial role to play in how we actually respond to and address IoT facilitated intimate partner violence. So if you take a look at just a very brief glance at the consumer IoT market here, you can see that there is a lot of actors and players in this space. So even if we just consider those who are in charge of the devices themselves or potentially our standards organizations,